Because we're really here with a shared purpose, actually, no matter how we might language this. We are a community of human beings that are in this transitional period where an opportunity for humanity is in the process of shifting in response to what's happening in the collective consciousness. So may this continue in some form beyond this one meeting, because I do believe that what can happen in relating to others of like-mindedness is you can create synergies that are way beyond any one of you, that can open up and affect all the people you are connected with, that are connected to you, and through them, the rest of the collective consciousness. But the way to shift the era that we're now living in the midst of is through this, you could say, virus, this infection in the existing swarm that has limited and bound consciousness for eons, to become healed, to transmute, to become a different kind of human being. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says about the nature of this cycle that occurs. It's really nature that does it. It's actually not nature itself. It's rather, you would say, the organizational principle of consciousness that periodically, as consciousness will rise and it will fall, and then it will rise and it will fall, in an ever evolving upward spiral of possibility. And that because of this field of consciousness is eternal, we are all in the fulsome. We're just particles being swept along in a current of purpose that we can't see, and we're not really responsible for except when we wake up. Because when we're in ignorance, we don't know what we're doing. We're just being what our mother did, our father did. We're just doing what our friends do. We're doing what everybody else does. It's what we read or what we hear. We're born in the middle of the fragment, a tiny fragment of the story of what it means to be an awake human being on the planet. So the whole nature of spiritual awakening that's occurring on the planet right now is because the collective consciousness is more aware, more alert, more awake than it's ever been. And why? Because this transition now needs to include matter, life, the foundational structure from which our bodies were formed. We need to bring this awakening consciousness and embody it so that the earth itself can be lifted by that spiritual infusion of our own awakening, first into our own bodies, then in our relationship with others, and then in our role of serving the unfolding of the opportunity of the purpose in this transitional period of humankind. So I'm here with that purpose. In the Bhagavad Gita it says I come again and again during periods of darkness, when the cycle becomes dark, to show the way of the next unfolding that has yet to be shown, that will be of a complete different order of the highest that had occurred previously. A new upward spiral shift in this endless movement of the risings and descendings. So this is what I see. And I come not just as a person, although the nature of an incarnation is there also, they don't lose their personhood. They don't live in the merger of their realization. They don't rest in their enlightenment. They bring it into a dynamic, active expression into life. And what I've noticed in the nature of my work is that the force that lives me now can be transmitted. That people who come to serve this work start tapping into the very same energy that lives me, and it starts living you. It's an enhancement in our own otherwise natural ability to be awake. It makes that awakening a manifesting force, a current of becoming within us that sets in motion a biological transformation, an emotional transformation, and a mental transformation that makes our bodies vehicles for a higher possibility for mankind. That's the facts. You don't need to believe me. May you find out for yourselves. And that would be this opportunity. And meanwhile, because of the nature of the condition we've been born into, the darkness we've born into. This emerging process is very challenging because you're carrying your mother along, you're carrying your father along, you're carrying their mothers and fathers and their mothers and fathers and their mothers and fathers. We all carry a piece of the collective ignorance, the collective resistance, the collective unwillingness to change, the collective obscurity, the collective preference for staying asleep. So when we awake, we're dragging along those who are connected to us, and therefore it's so hard to hang on to that awakening. That's why having correct information, so that you don't lose hope, that you don't get overtaken by the inevitable dejection and despair that occurs on the spiritual transformational process, so that you can recognize those symptoms in yourself, in your own experience, and learn how to say, oh good, another chunk of darkness is showing itself, another opportunity to come into existence in a way I didn't know how to be in existence before. Okay, for me, this is a plain and obvious truth, and it's the only thing I speak about. But for you, I realize it may not be, or it may be still emerging. But what I want to say about this is that if you can start collaborating with each other in a shared recognition of your own process, that something powerful and true can come into the world that can make a very, very real difference.